Thank you, Oscar and Cora, and thank the Minister for being here today to take this topic issue. It's an issue that has been exercised on me for the last 5-6 weeks, and it's an issue that obviously is time sensitive as well because of the rollout of the new childcare scheme. And I suppose just a bit of context of the scheme. I speak here today on behalf of Carlow Regional Youth Services, who provide huge service in Carlow Town. Carlow Town, like most commuter towns, it's a population now of 24,000–25,000 people. It has its challenges like most towns around the country. There's obviously very good parts in the town. There's middle of the road parts of the town, then there's parts of the town who can be challenging as well. And I suppose in this area is where Carlow Youth Services play a leading role in making sure that the children in difficult areas have a future and will have a future going forward. The new childcare scheme that's been rolled out on the 11th of October next is a scheme which is obviously welcome in general, but it misses out on a key part of the whole thing. The childcare scheme, in my opinion, would have been to look after kids and children of the future, and particularly vulnerable children. And this is where I come from. The vulnerable children in Carlow Town that are looked after by the Carlow Regional Youth Service, and there's about 59 of them in total who are being looked after at the moment. And the vulnerability come in different areas. There could be drug-related issues. There could be other related issues that could have a knock-on effect. And these are kids that need to be able to give an opportunity, the same opportunity as everybody else, the same opportunities we had in our time, same opportunities other kids had or have at the moment. They need to be given the same opportunity to progress from first-level education to second-level education, and if indeed to third-level education as well. But if the new scheme that is implemented in its present form is rolled out as has been presented, these kids will miss out on that opportunity. The scheme has been rolled out about job activation, which is obviously very welcome. But I think we're missing the point about the children and vulnerable children are being missed out in the heart of this particular project. As I said, the scheme in general is welcome, but vulnerable children, and Carlow Town, like other towns, I'm sure have plenty of them, unfortunately, but they need to be given that opportunity like everybody else. So what I'm asking the Minister here today is if she would look at the scheme in its present format. She's in an ongoing review at the moment, which I suppose unfortunately, and the people in Carlow Youth Service would be disappointed in the fact that they weren't asked to make a contribution to that review, that they would have had a huge part to play. Maybe other organisations of a similar status were asked to make a contribution. But before she makes a final decision, if she would engage with them to see exactly how the issues could be resolved, because I think it would be unfortunate if we missed out the whole possibility of the issue of where vulnerable children in society this day and age weren't given the same opportunity as other kids in the area. As I said, there's 59 kids in Carlow Town who are coming from difficult and vulnerable sector of society. They need to be looked after. They need to be given the opportunity to move on to second level and third level, because if they don't, unfortunately, they may go the way of other kids have gone and a very difficult background. So, Minister, I'm asking you if you would look at the situation that we have at the moment. The scheme in general is welcome, very welcome, and a lot of money has been invested, extra money has been invested in childcare over the last number of years, and I think it deserves to be complimented in that regard for the work you've done. But I think there's an anomaly in this system that's due to be rolled out in September, in October, and if it's not addressed now, the scheme that is presently in existence in Carlow Town will have to be closed down on the end of July, which would mean these kids would lose out on a very valuable future. So, Minister, I would ask you to look at this particular situation in your reply. Thank you.
Deputy, and let me address the National Childcare Scheme initially, in light of that's so much of what you're speaking about. When introduced, will represent a major landmark for all children and families in Ireland, and especially for lower income families and lone parents. It can be accessed by all families, not just those working or studying full-time. The new scheme will replace the existing targeted childcare schemes with a single, streamlined and user-friendly scheme. It entails a fundamental shift away from subsidies that have been grounded in a medical card and social protection entitlements, and towards a comprehensive and progressive system of universal and income-based subsidies. And by making this shift, and by tangibly reducing the cost of quality childcare for thousands of families across Ireland, the scheme does intend to improve children's outcomes, to support their lifelong learning, to make work pay, and to reduce child poverty. It's also designed to have a positive impact on gender equality in relation to labour market participation and employment opportunities. Under the current targeted schemes, there are many families with low income levels who are not currently able to access subsidized childcare, either because they are in low-paid employment or because they're rotating between short periods of employment, unemployment, and training. But the National Child Care Scheme is going to change this. In relation to the income-based subsidies awarded under the scheme, parents who are working, studying, or who meet certain other conditions will qualify for an enhanced hours subsidy up to a maximum of 40 hours per week. The definitions of work and study will be set out in the regulations made under the Child Care Support Act 2018 and will be comprehensive, covering different types of work and study arrangements, such as part-time, week on, week off, and zero-hour contract arrangements. The legislation will also provide for bridging periods when a parent is moving between work and study. Where a parent is not engaging in work or study, the child will still be eligible for the standard hours subsidy of 15 hours per week, and these 15 hours will wrap around school and preschool provision. So this means that when this child is in school or preschool, no subsidy will be payable during term time. And this approach reflects policy objectives of encouraging labor market activation and reducing child poverty and persistent poverty traps. It's also consistent with the evidence of the strong benefits of early learning and care for young children, particularly for those from disadvantaged backgrounds, but also the evidence that these benefits are, in most cases, realized with part-time participation. For older children, it recognizes that during term time, child development needs will be met through school and preschool, while still providing part-time early learning and care and school-age childcare outside of those times. So I'd also like to highlight that families with high levels of need who require childcare for child welfare, child protection, or family support reasons may be referred for childcare support by a specified sponsored body. And if such a referral is made, then the family will automatically qualify for a subsidy for the number of hours considered appropriate by the sponsor without having to satisfy the scheme's eligibility, income, or enhanced hour requirements. But I do hear the very significant issues that you're raising, Deputy, and I share your concerns. And this is the reason why last year I commissioned an independent sustainability review. I think you referred to that. That review analyzes a number of services in highly disadvantaged communities in order to explore any potential financial sustainability issues and the potential impact of the work-study rules within the National Child Care Scheme. I expect to receive that analysis shortly. It will inform any necessary refinements of the National Child Care Scheme, and in the interim, arrangements are in place so that no one loses out.
I can't extend the time. Deputy, you have 2 minutes.
Thanks, Concorn, and thanks, Minister, for your reply. And I suppose, again, I would reiterate, I firmly accept and appreciate the work that has been done and acknowledge that the new scheme has come in and is going to be very beneficial. As you did send it to me or in your reply from a question that I'd asked her about 10 days ago, about a month ago initially. But I do think at the same time, you're missing the point as regards the vulnerable sector, the vulnerable children that are there. I welcome everything that's going to reduce the cost of childcare. Absolutely, it's been too expensive in this country for far too long, and I think we've been playing catch-up for a number of years in the whole childcare sector. And anything that has done and introduced to try and improve that is very welcome. And I think it's also important to point out that we need to get people back to work. And the only way we can secure people's futures is by getting them back to work. Absolutely, I totally agree. But there's obviously a number of people who come from difficult and vulnerable sectors who may never work. Their parents didn't work. Their grandparents didn't work, unfortunately. And if we don't look after these kids of that particular area, they will never work either. We don't want to have a situation like that where we have historical issues being repeated time and time again. As for that reason, I highlight the issue. You referenced that there is support available. In the event that there would be an issue that could arise, there would be referred for a special subsidisation. My understanding is that I'm open to correction on this, that yes, there may be support in name only. There's only one social worker, I believe, available in this particular circuit, in this particular sector, to deal with whatever issues that may arise. So even though there may be a list of different areas where kids could be referred to or families could be referred to where there is extra issues involved, there actually really isn't isn't the support that is necessary to deal with the case, to make sure that these children will have an opportunity to move forward. I know I might be repeating myself, but I think it's essential that every child in this country has the same opportunity to education, the same opportunity to progress from level 2 to level 3 or level 1 to level 2, so that they may not be left behind like others were in the past. So again, Minister, if you could in your second reply, give me a bit more substance maybe to the issue that I'm trying to highlight here to you today as regards where we can deal with the issue that is the anomaly in the system here. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. And I suppose what initially tried to outline, I suppose, is the overall objectives of the National Childcare Scheme, which share a lot of the objectives that are currently operating, out of which the Carlow Youth Service has been supported in the past. I think I'm also indicating that there are some things that are going to change in light of the fully debated policy objectives that are underlying and supporting that National Childcare Scheme. The second, I suppose, major point in terms of responding to you, though, I hear that in light of some of those changes, that's going to impact the financial sustainability of the way in which the subsidization of supports for young people and children in the context of that service, that it will impact it negatively. So I think that's what you're saying. I, of course, am open to that, considering that. And my understanding, too, is that, you know, during April and May of 2019, the Carlow County Childcare Committee did gather data on the potential impact of the National Childcare Scheme on early learning and care and school-aged services in Carlow. And that information was sought from 7 community services, 4 family resource type services, 3 standalone school-age services, but that departmental officials will be meeting with some of those involved in the County Carlow Pilot Impact Study on Thursday, the 13th of June, to learn more about their work and their findings in order to feed into us to understand, I suppose, more deeply what is going on there in terms of the way in which you're describing that there is a shift in terms of financial support for those children, and a way in which to move forward to ensure that you know, that the service is sustainable. And I think that the first step there is with the meeting with the officials in order to just hear firsthand in terms of the findings of the work that's being presented, and then to move forward from that. And that's why I say we'll take those next steps, Deputy, and see where we are then.
Thank you, Minister.